Good afternoon, everybody. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. It is 22nd of October, 2025, and it's a Wednesday. Yes, a Wednesday. And, well, you guys, if you're watching what's going on in Gaza, you know, it's just the same old thing. Israel coming up with their violations one after the other. I think, what is it, 45 or something? As of 2 days ago, maybe it was like at least 40 violations of the ceasefire, and of course blaming everything on Hamas now. Of course Donald Trump is, and as whatever is going on. So I haven't been, this is behind some building here. There's a little street here. This guy doing some woman, guy. Anyway, but like this old house over here, really nice. Makes me wonder, windows are kind of dirty downstairs and all that. I don't know if anybody lives there. Of course, there's an old house, a log cabin type. Here we are right in Minsk, right off of Central Street. It's not in the center of Minsk, but the street is called Central Street. We walk around this building, and there's some other buildings much like this. And I wonder if a person had some money and wanted to rent something out. Maybe you rent out an entire floor of one of these buildings. Actually really nice. You can make it into a really nice luxury place. It's like 1.5 minute walk to the metro right over here. Look at this, like a beautiful winter garden here, some renovations. Street, what is the street here? Cholyoskon. Oh, it's Belarusian. I guess the Y is a V sound in Belarusian. So if I get that right, and there is no I in Russian like that, if you see the KI. So I'm guessing it sounds like an I sound in English. I would guess. I don't know. So Belarusian. But anyway, look at this. Nice. Look at, get some new windows. That old beat up old wooden window there. I don't know, maybe somebody actually lives there. I have no idea. But do you know how nice of a place this would be? Put a better door on here. And like I said, 1.5 minute walk to the metro. And there's some parking, as you see. There's some places. If you have a car and you want to park out here, garage, I don't know, place right next to it, you can build a garage. That's probably part of the properties. I'm just talking, you know, for any of you guys that are people that are interested in that sort of. Look at this, the garbage place is almost across the street. Another little winter garden over this one. Look at this, copy house of the same thing. Let's see, garbage truck coming by. So let's get on with some news here, talking about some of this stuff, this Gaza stuff. Like I said, and it's to be expected, and I think a lot of people already expected this. You know, there's a lot of hoop-de-doo, oh, peace in the Middle East, you know, but Israel doesn't want peace. Israel wants Eretz Israel. They want more land. They've even said this. They've been saying this even for, technically you can go back to the 1800s and you can say that with Herzl and all that, with the Zionist movement and all that back then. Oh, this is a bunch of, I mean, I don't even want to think of Ted Cruz. I'll get to Ted Cruz in a few minutes. The guy's a friggin' idiot. The guy, I don't know. These Zionists, whether they're Jewish Zionists or Christian Zionists, and unfortunately, by the way, Donald Trump is definitely, beyond any shadow of a doubt, he is if he's even a Christian at all, he's a Christian Zionist. I think he's Jewish. His daughter is Jewish. I think Donald Trump, it's much like President Johnson. I guess it was pretty much proven that President Johnson was not a Christian. He was a closet Jewish person. The entire time he was Jewish, and he did everything for Israel. He was the first president to do everything for Israel. With these this disclosure of the KGB, disclosing what they knew about the JFK assassination, I don't think they didn't mention anything about Israel, I don't think. But you have to wonder that Israel was also a little bit, not subservient, but friendly with the Look at this. This is very interesting when you see this right here. See the flowers up here in front, and you see the purple. Somebody painted the top part of this building. And then the blue sky, you know, all three colors kind of match together. The fence kind of a weirdo. I don't know what that weird color is, but anyway, too bad that didn't paint the fence orange or something. It might have been a lot better. I like looking at color and things, as you already know, everybody. But so it's clear now that it was never part of the plan to have a peace in Gaza, at least not on the side of the Israelis. That's very obvious. And I think it's maybe becoming more obvious that Trump is the same way, that he wasn't planning on going through with this either. Well, he was planning on putting up like a farce sort of a deal and, you know, trying to disarm Hamas. I guess that was part of the big thing. And then, of course, they're going to take all of Gaza. But as you all know, I've been saying, and I don't know if anybody else has been saying this, but they talk about the yellow line and anything, you know, sadly for Israel, the best property on the other side of the yellow line is temporarily belonging to the Palestinians. And they have on the other side, which is, it looks to me, at least looking at a map, I'm just judging, I don't know. I'm sure some people should be trying to figure out what the percentage is, but on the one hand, it looks like Israel's taken, and I think they're never going to give it back, about 60% of Gaza. So, and I don't think they're ever going to give it back. I mean, it doesn't take too much brain power to figure that one out, and I'm sure that there's a lot of other people out there that feel the same way. Maybe they haven't expressed it yet, but they're not going to give it back. I don't think so. It's I'm not saying it's 100%. I'd say a 90% chance Israel will never give that back to the rightful owners, which are the Palestinians, which are the descendants of a guy called Jesus. The descendants of Jesus are not what you would think are the Israelis down there. And of course, most all those people come from Europe anyway, like Belarus and Lithuania and Russia and Poland and even Canada, which is not part of Europe. Don't think that I'm that dumb. I'm not some of these people in the U.S. Congress or Kaya Kallas or Annalena Baerbock. So look at that. Gosh, you know, makes you really wonder if anybody lives in these things. I'm not rich. If I was had a few $100,000, I would be looking into something like that there. But anyway, let's keep going here. So a lot of people are already talking about the fact, you know, Donald Trump, I was thinking, oh, he's given up on his plan to develop the Gaza Strip for all of the millionaires and the billionaires. But it doesn't look like that now. It looks like he's just found a different way. And I was thinking it was kind of suspicious that they sent two property developers, Witkoff and Jared Kushner, over there to supposedly help broker a peace deal. Why would they send property developers? I like Witkoff, you know, so I don't know. But Jared Kushner, and everybody knows, you know, he's the husband of Ivanka Trump, and Donald wants to secure a fabulous future for Ivanka and Jared. So, I mean, that's obvious, isn't it? So, he's going to get his so-called golden parachute. You never know. He's probably going to get paid for a lot of money for developing that, and he's probably going to get a permanent income every year. Who knows? A Mitt Romney sort of a deal. Anyway. So you look at how Ukraine was wrapped up big with BlackRock. So that was big for the most part. That's a big conglomeration. That's a lot of property developers as well, BlackRock. And this is kind of a same game plan. I don't know if you start to want to draw some similarities. I guess you can find them. think this guy here, I always thought he was homeless. He looks like he's coming out of this house. Let me go take a look. I wonder. I mean, not homeless. Of course not homeless. He's coming out of here. So I'm wondering if this is a place for people. If I can look, there's a business here. There's a secretary lady up there. Huh. I don't know. It's just interesting. Sorry, I've got a curious nature in some ways. Intelligence agency. No, I was never any kind of spook, so it's nothing like that. I'm just kidding. But anyway, remember Ukraine, you know, they had the Biden family. Biden family was involved in Ukraine at property developing, believe it or not, building building buildings and maybe housing or something, housing developments. And now you're having something similar with the Trump family in Gaza. So, I mean, I don't know, is anybody going to draw that parallel at some time in the future? Some of these other people that have these channels. I don't know. There might be a lot more parallels than I even know of. Okay. Yeah, well, anyway, I've already been saying, I think I've been saying it because I read it all over the place. All the violations, of course, are done on the side of Israel. It's really weird, isn't it, that Trump doesn't see those? Nobody tells him? Huh. So many crazy things. And Trump is threatening. He's threatening a lot of, he just comes right out and says it. He's threatening to kill a lot of the Hamas members, to do a lot of killing. He doesn't even really say the word killing, but it's obvious. He said it's going to be, what did he say, brutal. It's going to be fast, furious, and brutal. Jeez. We'll go in, it will be violent, he said as well. So he's been putting out a lot of tweets to threaten Hamas. But I'll tell you, if Donald Trump, he could have done that. If he could have done that, he would have done it a long time ago. Look at this. There's a license plate from Poland. Why do I notice these crazy things here? I think it's from Poland. I'm just guessing. No, it's Russia. I never saw a plate like this in Russia. See? It says Rus. Let's see. Interesting. That's the person who has that. His name is Russ. That could be possible. Anyway. And the Budapest summit, what a joke. This is all crazy stuff. Okay, Donald Trump is the one that called for the Budapest summit. He's the one that made the suggestion to Vladimir Putin. And to have it in Hungary, as a matter of fact, as well. In Budapest, of course. And Hungary has been feverishly preparing for that summit. They're going like mad, preparing for it, probably getting a venue, trying to make sure that the security is good. You know how that all works. Maybe you don't know how that all works, but you know, a lot of time you need it a couple of days in advance, and you have to know where the choke points are and things like that, so that I mean, it's really strange that a lot of time you have this thing where Donald Trump was giving speeches and somebody didn't cover the roof. I think Donald Trump even knows that. He very, very, very strongly hinted at that everything was pretty strange. You know that, who was that guy in Butler, Pennsylvania or something? Well, how the heck nobody was covering that area? You know, I don't know, that's just too strange. But anyhow, this thing about Charlie Kirk was not a big government official. So that's one thing. And then again, of course, I doubt that whoever was up on that roof did any of the fire anyway. And I don't even know that was this, Tyler Robinson. You know, that's all a bunch of fake stuff. You know, I think Candace Owens is a far, far better investigator than, I'll get around to Candace Owens too, again. But she's probably a far better investigator than the entirety of the FBI, apparently. Somebody said, if I get assassinated, don't call the police, call Candace Owens. And I second that remark, but I'm not important enough a person to Candace Owens to step in. It makes you really wonder who would be the better director of the CIA or something, or the FBI. I like Tulsi Gabbard, but makes you wonder. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I don't think Candace Owens is going to kiss anybody's ass. She'll probably do her job if she can't do her job and do it correctly. I don't know. Candace Owens is a force to be reckoned with by any of these deep state global criminals, no matter who it is. Even if you're not a criminal, I think she tries to be, I don't know what the word is, cordial enough, but when she sees and knows that somebody has gone over the line, I think Candace Owens, basically, she puts her foot down. I don't know. What a remarkable woman. So let me keep going anyway. I'll get to Candace Owens a little bit more later. But let's see. Yeah, Trump is now saying he hasn't decided yet. First he said he's the one that suggested, and now he hasn't decided if he's going to go. So is it like Donald Trump saying, well, I don't know yet if I want to try to get a peace in Ukraine or not. That's exactly what he's saying, you know? Even if that sounds ridiculous, I'll get around to that towards the end of this. I got my own prediction, so pretty interesting. He said he doesn't want to waste time. You know, obviously, but it sounded to me, and I think you all have seen this, and you saw the enthusiasm of a lot of other people that were seeing this. A lot of people were saying that now they feel, you know, going by Trump's reaction, they said this is the closest they have ever felt that there can be a peace between Ukraine and Russia. But in the last day or so, it has changed. And I have my theory, like I said, and I'll get to that towards the end of this. Anyway. And there's a lot of different things you can go on if you're not an insider. But Donald Trump, and just like practically everything that guy does, everything that he does on the world stage, his foreign policy, like Lukashenko says, Donald Trump says one thing in the morning, he says something completely different in the afternoon. We have a word for that, you know, especially if you're a leader. If you are a leader, if you've taken, like, say, leadership training and leadership classes like in the military, like I have, and I'm sure that you can ask anybody out there if you get a chance to even talk with, say, Colonel Douglas McGregor or Scott Ritter or Larry Wilkerson or some of these other people, or Colonel Wilkerson, any of these people, one characteristic of leadership that you almost have to have if you want to be a leader, if you are a leader, is decisiveness. Have you ever heard the word decisiveness? Do you have to be decisive? And of course, you look up all the facts, you find out as much as you can about any kind of a situation that you have going on. It's just like in the battalion, and I was called in on a few of those, and I'm not just a sergeant or something at that time, but I just know how this works. So you get called in when there's a situation, say somebody gets raped or something like that, you know, one of the soldiers or whatever, you get some sort of a problem. So then you get, you know, the people together, maybe that if it was like, for example, one of your soldiers, and I've had some incidences where my soldiers, you know, in my squad, or you know, we're involved in something, and anyway, you get something together. The commander is supposed to be doing this, and you get the facts together, and you try to figure out, well, what happened, and you know, or find out who was relevant, who knows what maybe something that could have happened. Anyway, you get it all together, you put the facts together, and then you come up with some sort of either a solution, and a lot of the time it says, well, how do we ensure this is not going to happen again? So things like that. So you come up with some crazy stuff sometimes, and you know, sometimes if you have a decent commander, a lot of times nothing. You don't do anything. It was like some sort of a freak thing, you know, and it's not going to happen again anyway because it was a freak thing, something like that. But anyway, but then you make a decision. And you have to be decisive, and you have to follow through with that decision. It has to be that way. And Donald Trump, I don't know, maybe it comes from the fact that he was not in the military, but he's like some business guy. And there is something to be said about trying to delay decisions, you know, sometimes for as long as possible. But I don't know. You make a decision. You don't make a decision and tell everybody and all your soldiers and all, prepare to do this. This is what we're going to do. And say, well, I haven't decided yet. I haven't made a decision. You friggin' A, you certainly did make a decision, but now you've changing your mind. Is that like a woman? No, anyway. God. But Donald Trump. Everybody knows he's very decisive, and I can tell you what, in secret circles, I'm not even a part of any of these circles, but all these people are talking about it. What this friggin' guy, he says one thing, you never know. He's going to change his mind later in the afternoon, the next day, 2 days later. So you don't know. You can't take it to the bank. You can't take anything that Donald Trump says to the bank because he might change his mind. Gosh, changes his mind probably more than he changes his underwear. Maybe about the same, something like that. Anyway, so. But anyway, in all classes and everything, you have to be decisive. You know, you can't be pulling this crap off and stuff that he does all the time. Oh, kitty, look at that. You see that? Right behind me. Oh, look at it. It's a gray kitty with some slight orange spots in him. I think he's a very friendly one. He or she. I don't have any food, unfortunately. Green-eyed gray cat. I'm not sneaking up on you. Oh, I knew you'd think so. I knew you'd think so. Should I get on my knee? Maybe you'll come and get some pets? Hey, I know you're a friendly guy. I don't have food. Wow, like that slight orange and gray. That's incredible. Pretty guy, girl, whatever. It looks like it's not fixed. It looks like it's a stray. It's very skinny, kind of. Unfortunately, too bad I don't have food. Makes me feel terrible now. Yeah, terrible. Sorry, guy. So anyway, he's not decisive. Now this is a busy street here. Okay. Well, anyway, if he's going to change the plan, you have to have. Okay, now this is the clincher. Now this is the clincher. Maybe he is a decent leader. So when you change the plan, you have to have something that very, I don't know, what's the word? I keep always saying a long period of time or a considerable change of circumstances. Look at that crap. All of a sudden everybody wants to come through here. Here goes Professor Sigmund Freud there. Anyway, can I stand here now? Wish I brought some food. Maybe I should put some in all my coats. Maybe I think about that. Okay, but anyway, so there's something else must have come into Donald Trump's periscope to cause him to possibly want to change his mind. And I know what that is. Like I said, I'm going to be getting to that one. Sorry about that, guy. I'm sorry. No food. Maybe I gotta head back this place, very pretty cat, and get him some food sometime. Looks like a lot of the people here are not necessarily that well off. Interesting houses. Look at this. There's no road to this house. This is like a house, and it looks to me like nobody lives in this house. Very obvious. Maybe it belongs to some of these. There's a fence here, so it may not belong to them. This is very interesting stuff here. Very interesting. Probably get these things for a song and a dance. There are some not very expensive places inside of Minsk. Very interesting, very interesting. But anyway, let's keep going. These people just don't have it for sale because it's difficult to sell a house that it's probably not livable. Anyway, I don't know if you guys are interested in me looking at a lot of these like old houses and things like this on this street. And here's another thing. Look at those windows up there. Broken out. I don't know. It looks like nobody lives there either. No, nobody lives there. It's not on that part of it. Gosh, interesting. A car here. I wonder if a lot of it is... Sorry about this, guys. I'll get into the news again in a second here. I'm just interested in this. The yard is somewhat kept up. Somewhat. Anyway, maybe somebody's living there. I don't know if they want their house to be looked at like this. All these old houses. You know where I'm at right now? I'm on Ukraine Street. This is Ukraine. We're on Ukraine. This possibly at one point in time was the edge of Minsk, because Ukraine means on the edge. It's on the edge. This is probably the edge of Minsk at one point in time. And out in this other direction here, there's not really any city at all of Minsk anymore. There are houses and things up there, but then you get to the boundary. There's like the big main road. So I'm like I say, I'm kind of in the somewhat near the southeastern part of Minsk. And I've been on this street before. See if you can see the name. Ukrainskaya. Ukraine Street. Some guy watching it. Thinks I'm some kind of a spy or something. Look at this. What is this guy doing? If you look at it, I'll show you even up here. Here's number 19. It's going to be telling the neighbor tomorrow, some guy's filming your house. See? I waved to the guy. Huh? Huh? А? Я говорю только немного по-русски. Говорите по-английски или немецки?
Нет.
Я говорю только немного русской.
А для чего это съемки?
So this is для YouTube video.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Ясно, хорошо.
So, okay, where am I going at now? Okay, let's see. Okay, I was Donald Trump and his undecisiveness. Boy, what a big intermission there. Sorry about that, everybody. 26 minutes, okay. So, Donald Trump must have gotten some very, very important information to make him waver on whether he wants to go into any kind of a peace negotiation with Russia or not. And as we know, of course, this peace negotiation has to be between Russia and the United States because Ukraine is nothing but a proxy. They're just a proxy of the United States. Joe Biden is the one that started it. There's no doubt about that, but Donald Trump is continuing this war. So it is very much as much Donald Trump's war as it is Joe Biden's war. If it was not Donald Trump's war, Donald Trump would have pulled out. He would have pulled out of the war. He didn't pull out of the war. They still give intelligence to Ukraine. And he still figured out a way to sell weapons. You know, they just have somebody else pay for them instead of maybe a lot of the main part of it being free of charge for Ukraine. So, anyway, there's probably some old people. There's a cat here. Get him to stop. He's going through the yard. What you doing over there? A lot of kitties here. Oh, there's a black furry cat over there, if you guys can see it crossing the road. Probably can't. It's way too far away for a little speck. You see it going to that truck over there, that white truck. Anyway, okay. So that's about that. And I tell you what, but if Trump is not, doesn't have any kind of new information coming in, if he's just, oh, well, I just decided, today I woke up this morning, I scratched my family jewels and I decided I'm going to do something different, then he's like, I guess you'd call it incompetent. I don't think he's incompetent, but maybe he acts like an incompetent leader. Oh, look at this. That is a new portion of that house over there. And this is the older house. So that's interesting. Okay. Israeli defense minister has warned that any Gazan found beyond the yellow... this is just more information what I was telling you. Any Gazan be found beyond the yellow line can and will be shot if they do not immediately leave when told to do so. Until the time when they get the barrier all up over the entire area. And this is going to be like what Benjamin Netanyahu at one point in time, he called it. It's a fence. Or was it Ariel Sharon that said that when he was the prime minister of Israel? It's a fence. Because the difference is a wall and a fence can be moved. So it's going to be a fence for the time when they take over more of Gaza. And they're going to, move it a little bit further inward when they take that line. Makes you wonder. I think I heard somebody saying that they think it's going to happen within 1 year. But I don't know. That's quite ambitious. But it might even happen sooner, because look at all this fake ceasefire violations by Hamas that are not even happening. They're just imagination. Incredible. So anyway, well, yeah, like I said, they're going to get all of it later. Okay, as of 2 days ago, 2 days ago. It's not today or yesterday. The day before, whatever, 2 days ago. The death toll of Palestinians was 102 killed, not died from starvation and all the other problems that they have, the diseases, stuff from drinking putrid water and malnourishment and all of the other things that they were put up for. 102 were killed by Israelis, of course, or the fake Hamas people that they paid off, you know. And there's 230 wounded. Israeli side, 0 killed, 0 wounded, 0. Oh, but Hamas are the bad guys. The Hamas is doing it all. Hamas is attacking the Israelis. Oh, but none of us have died, and a lot of them have died. How does that work out? You know, they're attacking us, but they're the ones that are dying. Wow. So, and there was, I think it was 2 days ago also, the toll, it was listed as 80 ceasefire violations by Israel. But no, that's not even mentioned by the Trump administration. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the Trump administration is beyond any shadow of a doubt complicit in all of this. They don't mention anything. They don't mention anything, that Israel did anything wrong. Hamas, Donald Trump. This is incredible. So can you say collaboration? Can you say collaboration? That's a whole plan, apparently. I mean, it sounds like a plan to me, doesn't it? Улица Украинская. 36. Anyway. So zero Israelis. Yeah. And of course, a lot of these so-called attacks by Hamas, Hamas keeps saying, we have nothing to do with that, we have nothing to do with that. And it's already been proven by some that these are like criminal gangs. Well, who's the one that hired these criminal gangs? Do you think Hamas did it? I don't think so. Look at this. What the heck is this? Wow. It's just a brick-walled hole in the ground. Find some interesting things out on this voyage of discovery here. Look at this, a vacant lot right on the main road. Who would want to live here unless you got some good windows, you know? Or you put some bushes here to deaden the sound quite a bit as well. Not so bad. Not so bad. This is actually a vacant lot, enough for a house. You can put some, you don't, see, I'll tell you what, you can't really grow anything here. You have to have a big front yard, you know, because as far as how the sun travels, you'd have to put the garden in the back, because if you put it up here, it would, your house would put all your garden in shade in the summertime, so it's not a good one if you want to plant a garden. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's not a good place to build after all, is it? Unless you have a office building, then you have to get a, look at this, I'll tell you what, there's a driveway here already. So you can drive right up on in there, everybody. Let's keep going. Okay. France has said they will fund the Ukraine war for at least 3 more years. Is this grapes? Heard it through the grapevine? I don't see any grapes, but they look like grapes. Is that a grapevine, anybody? Can you see any grapes up there? Anywhere? They all probably fell off if there were any. I'm such a nut. I'm supposed to be doing a video and I'm doing all this crazy stuff because I don't ever get out on my own very often. Okay, let's see. So France is going to fund the Ukraine war for 3 more years. So they fund the war. Who's going to fund all the pensions? I guess, I don't know. Is the United States still paying all the pensions for all the Ukrainian people? Got another lot here. And what else are they paying for? I know the United States pays the medical care of all the Israelis. So you get free medical care in Israel, paid for, compliments of the United States taxpayer, amongst who knows what else. What else are the Americans paying for who? You know, they just sent, what, 40 billion or something? Huge amount of money to Argentina. And apparently that's not even helping Argentina very much. You know, Milei is He loves Israel. He's a dedicated, he loves Israel, he loves Ukraine, and he loves Trump, of course. So, I mean, he's right in, I mean, they elected some guy, he probably ran on a completely different platform, and all of a sudden they get a deep state. They get a deep state leader who's, for the most part, incompetent. He might have some nice sideburns. He looks like Pushkin. But he's not very competent in so many ways, apparently, because he gets all this money, and I don't know. The whole place is falling apart in Argentina. But shh, you're not supposed to say that. So 3 more years, and of course, how is France going to do that? You know how they're going to do that? They're going to do it with frozen Russian assets. You know, you have Christine Lagarde. She is, I think she's still living on, I think it's called Street 16. There is a street in Paris, and it's, I used to know people that lived on that street. So to get on the street, you have to punch a code into an entrance to get on the street. And then, of course, you have a code to get into your building, and there's movie stars living there, and there's politicians. Sarkozy was living there, and you know, Sarkozy's got a new address, I guess now. I think he maybe moved in today. He's going to the prison, supposedly, probably in a luxury cell, obviously, for 5 years. But you know, Christine Lagarde, what is she? President of, what is it? The World Bank, the IMF or whatever. She lives on that street. But anyway, France. But they had some banks, you know, the United States put some, what is it, they said some violation. That was probably even agreed upon. I don't have any idea how these politicians and bankers and all this, these are all complicit people anyway. You know, so big sanctions, had to pay a huge amount of money. I think the main bank of France to the United States, to who in the United States? Justice Department? To the Federal Reserve? I don't know. And where did that money go? It didn't go to the American people. So let's see here. Funding them for 3 more years, at least 3 more years, they said. Yeah, I believe that. Sounds good though, doesn't it? Sounds good. Russian funds, of course, if they do steal, and of course they believe they are going to be stealing the Russian money now, the frozen Russian assets, which is obviously illegal. That's why it's been taking them all these years to figure out, I guess now it's legal, huh? Maybe they created a new law, I don't know. Jeez. Talking about people that are getting abused, not just the Russians, but Khamenei, the leader of Iran. He stopped negotiations with Trump. He said that a deal predetermined by bullying is not a deal, it's coercion. And he's absolutely right. And you know, by the way, France has also cheated Iran at many times. You know, they make a deal and Iran fulfills their side, and then Iran, you know, did I say Iran? I said, yeah, Iran fulfills their side, and then they got cheated, and France decided, oh, we're not going to fulfill our side. And then, so I guess maybe what goes around comes around. I guess that's like that what was that submarine deal with, was it with Australia or something like that? I think it was eventually, I think it was this, wasn't that France that got cheated out of that one? Was it submarines or something like that with Australia? And somebody came up with a better, or maybe France did the cheating. I can't even remember. Anyway, a bunch, all these Western governments, they all cheat each other big time and all that. It's very strange that the bad guys, the Russians, the Belarusians, the Chinese and all that, they never cheat each other. Isn't that incredible? They make a deal and they stick with the deal, including the Iranians, by the way. So I guess the good guys, I guess that's how you define a good guy, is by you cheat people. When you cheat people, that makes you a good guy. It's incredible. So, but anyway, so Khamenei, he dropped out of that. It's just like the IAEA. When they, unfortunately, they're taken over, they say, by the deep state as well. And first they lied. They said, oh yes, that Iran is making nuclear weapons, and then what is it, Grossi? He came out and said, no, they're not. You know, oh, that was a mistake. I don't know. Maybe they paid somebody that was on the team to say that Iran was not fulfilling their agreement, and then this Grossi had to come out and say, you know. Anyway, somebody was lying, and it was obvious because they. At that time, it was too late, and the USA and Israel were already bombing them. So Trump signed a $8.5 billion rare earth deal with Australia, the same, when I just mentioned Australia. And what they did is similar like to that thing that I think it was that I told you I watched the Alex Cristoforo video, and like they see some company in the Netherlands, a software company belonging to China, no, a chip company, chip making company, and then they forgot that, oh gosh, we forgot to look into the fact that we don't have any production facilities in Europe. They're all in China. So we cheated China. We fired their CEO and all their people and all that, and now we can't make any chips, so we took over the company for nothing and just cost us a lot of money. And we don't get the chips anymore either to boot. So this is kind of a similar thing, I guess. Jeez. You know, a bunch of brilliant people over there in the West. You know, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. But what I was going to say is, you know, they got this deal with the rare earth minerals, and I think they even meant, I think one of them was germanium. I noticed that, and but there was two main minerals that the United States needs, like for defense and cell phones and all that kind of stuff like that. All this high tech, and they don't know how to process. They don't have the machines or the knowledge on how to process it. The only one that does is China. Of course, maybe you'll get around to doing it, and you'll learn how to do it. Of course, there's spies and American spies are pretty much everywhere. And you know, a lot of people, you know, can get greedy people anywhere. You just find out where the factory is. It takes a little bit of time. This is how this is done, by the way. Let me tell you how this is done, because I'm not going to tell you how I know this, but but this is how this is done. So you slowly get involved, and you find out the names of the people and who they are, what they do, all that sort of fun stuff, and then you know, if they go someplace, you can even find out what their weaknesses are, what they like to do. If they like money, they like women. What they really love is if you like something that's not very well accepted in society, like if you like little boys, or if you're married and you like other women, or you know, money. You know, that's a easy one. The United States has a printing press, and that's probably what's going to happen. So what they're going to do is they're going to find these people and then find something. Oh man, a dead cat there. They're going to find something that turns some of these people on that know how to do this processing. And then of course it's still going to take some years. They got to figure out, they got to make the machines or whatever that knows how to process, that can process these rare earth minerals. Maybe they can adapt something, or who knows, but there's some brilliant people in China. They're just going to find them, and they're just going to offer them a huge sum of money. You know, that's the easy one. That's a very easy one. You know, and there you go. There you go. You just bought yourself a scientist, and all of a sudden the United States is going to be able to do that. They're going to be able to process these rare earth minerals as well. Gee, isn't that incredible? More grapevines, but no grapes. It's all lying, or dying, not lying. Okay, reds, golds, and what is it? What's that song from the Moody Blues? Anyway, I won't sing that. I'll spare you guys. So, okay, let me go to this next page here. Scott Ritter appeared on the Rick Sanchez show on RT, and I think that was yesterday. And he disclosed that they offered him, back in the old days, remember when he was the weapons inspector, you know, in Iraq, to see if they're, you know, he was actually hired to find the weapons of mass destruction. And of course, they gotta be there somewhere, as you know. They were looking all over for this. Scott Ritter couldn't find them. You know, the bad thing is they hired a guy with integrity, and you know, that's what I mean. They're gonna find some Chinese guy that doesn't have integrity. He's gonna sell something on how to make process the rare earth minerals to the United States, and you know, and it's good. Eventually it's going to happen, and he's going to be very happy. Got to have a lot of money. And but anyway, Scott Ritter, he didn't take that. They offered him $6 million, only to say, and he emphasized the fact, where was it at, if he said that Saddam Hussein was a liar, and that it's possible that Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. He didn't have to say that he did have weapons, but it's possible that he could have weapons of mass destruction. So that's all that it took. And he could have got $6 million, and Scott Ritter wouldn't do it. So, and of course, that made his life not so nice afterwards. If you guys know so much about Scott Ritter, I'll tell you what. And they found his weaknesses. You know, that's how that's done. Like I told you, they found what he could possibly be weak from doing it, or what is a weakness for him. And then of course they used it against him. Yeah. Say no more. Say no more. I like Scott Ritter. I don't care. I know how, like I said, and he probably knows this, how these people work. So, okay. What else? There is now a list of those who funded the No Kings protests. And I guess there's something called Arabella Advisors. They funded it the most, which was 78 million. See, it doesn't cost too much to make some signs and, you know, and set up some advertising and stuff like that. So it's not billions and billions. You need just some millions. It's like in, what is it? How many millions did they use to try to get Belarus? And they were putting, I think it was millions that they did in Belarus too. That was mostly Soros and of course and CIA and a lot of those, well, they all work together anyway. They're all the same. But anyway, Arabella Advisors, don't know anything about them, but I'm sure that there's it could be very much that there's a big conglomeration of a bunch of leftist people in there. I know that on that list, Zuckerberg was in there. Zuckerberg was definitely one of them. And but they didn't list it on this list that I saw, and he might even be just part of these Arabella Advisors or whatever. But anyway, second on the list, anyway, Arabella Advisors, 78 million. George Soros, 72 million, very, very close, almost as much. Rockefeller, 28 million. Well, what is it? Rockefeller Institute. They have this. They got a. You know, all these friggin' rich people. They got all these institutes and things like that. You know, there's not just the Open Society Foundation of George Soros, or what is it? There was a Institute for the Protection of Religion, was part of the Rockefeller Foundation and all that. But they have a lot more than that. And of course, the Institute for the Protection of Religion was all about climate change. Was about pushing climate change, carbon credits and crap like that. It has nothing to do with any religion except for, if you call, well, I guess maybe they're admitting right there that climate change is a religion. So anyway. Look at this kitty here. A lot of cats around here. This one lost his tail. Wow. Must be a rough life. This one's got a collar though. So maybe somebody adopted him, her. Also similar to the one I saw, that this one has orange, but it's black and orange in its fur. And it looks like it's either unfixed or it is a stray. Hey guy. Looking for food, huh? Don't know if you guys can see it. Anyway, I shouldn't have called it. Anyway, just wanted to get a look at him. Interrupted him in his search for food. Where am I at here? But anyway, they can't say these people are grassroots, you know. Oh, it's a grassroots thing. There are no kings, and let's see how many people are against it. And a lot of, you know, they're very skilled of getting people. You know, you get like free hot dogs and all that kind of free bus ride to the place. Comfort bus rides and stuff, and somebody took a picture even of that. If you guys ever saw that with Mike Bentz when he was he was filming that these people from USAID are that's actually, I didn't know it was they're passing out papers. He thought it was instructions, but it was also like part of it. I think there was something to do with signing up and all that on there too. But they're telling you how to protest, where to go, and giving you names and things like that, and join, boy, all kinds of crazy things. Anyway, so because of Trump's killing of South Americans without due process, the Colombia president, and I forgot his name, Pedro something or other, but he and Trump are now kind of enemies now, big enemies, I guess. You know, Trump, you never know. Enemy one day, friend the next, and they're enemy again. I don't know. But anyway, the guy's a socialist, so that goes against him. You know, this is, for the most part, not all, not fully. This is a hybrid. And actually, any governments in any countries anyway are all hybrids. There is no pure socialist government. There is no pure capitalist. There's a lot of socialism in the United States as well. You know, maybe that's why I was like the best student in every class when I took political science, because this stuff is very obvious, because you can very easily prove it. Oh, what about unemployment insurance? That's a socialist. That's part of socialism. So that's what I mean. They're all hybrids. Germany, Kindergeld, and all that. I mean, they're all hybrids. There is no such thing as a pure socialist, and there is no such thing as a pure capitalist. This stuff never exists. But anyway, this is enough said. But anyway, Venezuela and Colombia are now buddies, and I think it was Maduro. You know, Maduro, he's kind of a little bit of a crazy guy. He's not really so bad. He's nothing like what the United States says. But anyway, he says they're like one now, Colombia and Venezuela. And I'm not saying like I love Maduro or hate Maduro, you know. I'm not involved in that sort of a thing. Look at that beautiful oranges and stuff like that. Looks really beautiful on this camera screen right now. It's not as orange in my eyes as it looks on this screen, but if it's, maybe I have to watch my own videos this time. Normally I never do. So let's keep going here. Stop interrupting me. The UK and the EU are very willing and ready to send troops to Ukraine. If that doesn't surprise you, it does surprise me, because I think it's a big bluff. It's not a bluff, depending on other conditions. One main reason why the war started is because NATO was involved in Ukraine. And here they want to do it again. So let's just pick up where we left off when Russia actually had to invade, because, you know, the whole idea is to go after Russia in the first place, you know, as time goes by. So, well, let's see. So anyway, that's one main reason why it started. The UK Defence Secretary John Healey said over 200 military planners from 38 nations are laying the groundwork. They've been doing so for months of this peacekeeping process to send these people in. And they're waiting. He also said, he very highly hinted that they're waiting for the word from Trump. And what that means is exactly what I was talking about before. You know, Donald Trump was ready to go on this peace negotiation with Vladimir Putin, but you see now, after all this talking, they're talking with Donald Trump, and the word from Donald Trump means, of course, the participation of the United States to go in this as well. So they want the United States to go in, and Keir Starmer has already admitted months ago that they don't have any chance to go against Russia unless the United States goes in. So, and I'm sure that he hasn't changed his mind, because it is absolutely true. And a lot of people, even the United States, even the military planners, say that they still don't have a chance. If the United States and all of Europe goes together against Russia, they still don't have a chance. And as a matter of fact, you know what? Everybody loses, because nuclear weapons will be used. That's an undeniable fact. But of course, Russia has a big escalatory step before nuclear weapons, and it's called Orishnik. And I'm sure they're building a lot of them right now. I'm sure they're building them like mad. And the Orishnik is hypersonic, very, very fast hypersonic. The US doesn't have hypersonic. France doesn't have them. None of those people have them. None of these belligerents. It's really strange. It's almost like God has already come and said, we're not going to give it to you a-holes. We're going to give it instead to North Korea, to Iran, to Russia, and to China, because these people mind their own business in the most part. But all of you evil people, we're not going to give you hypersonic missiles. Or I am not going to. God, if that was maybe something that God could have possibly done. So, anyway, let me keep going on that thread, wherever that was at. Let's see. John Healey, 200 military planners. I guess that would be their generals and things like that. 38 nations laying the groundwork, waiting for the word from Trump. And they're ready. Oh, we're just ready to deploy peacekeepers. Yeah, peacekeepers, right? Okay, but he didn't say that. He says we're ready to deploy within weeks. And this is the Secretary of Defense of the UK. And it's saying that they're waiting for the word from Donald Trump. So I guess that's one reason why Donald Trump has decided to say, well, I kind of changed my mind for the moment, and I'll get back with you about this peace process in Budapest. So he's going to probably be talking to some people in Europe in the meantime, and we're going to see, well, let's just see if this is going to work out. You know, whether Donald Trump wants peace or not, I'll tell you what, he doesn't necessarily want peace. He wants domination over Russia. And of course, if Russia is now winning this deal in Ukraine right now, he's able to, or willing to call a peace agreement for this time, and he calls it now. He's going back to a ceasefire, and of course, and then they're going to renew their belligerence against Russia at some time in the future. And it's not so much similar to what is going on in Gaza down there right now, because they're gonna go much quicker, I think, in Gaza. Of course, Israel's been biding their time, and they know over a long period of time they're going to establish Eretz Israel. And maybe they said, well, we can wait 100 years. But right now, with Donald Trump being the president, and Donald Trump is definitely, is undeniable, is a Zionist. He is a Zionist president. There's no denying that. He's even come out and basically said that without saying the word Zionist. He said, I've always been for Israel 100%. Yet while he's doing there with some Palestinians next to him, he said, I'm on the side of Israel. Ah, that means you're a Zionist. Okay. So anyway, they're going to do it right now when he is a declared Zionist, and Donald Trump is bold enough to go and look at it. What did he do? He moved the embassy, or that's not a consulate, the embassy to Jerusalem. He gave them the Golan Heights. No other president has done that. So Donald Trump, that's our man. That's our man. Man, that's our man. So they're going to be going for the gold now. They're going to try to go for all of Gaza. And of course, Bibi Netanyahu has already said that he's going to take 61% of the West Bank. They're already moving towards that. Why didn't they just say 60%? Why 61? 61%. Maybe that's somehow they did something on the map and found out it was 61%. So they wanted to be exact, you know. You got to be exact. Maybe it's probably an accountant. Some accountant or something has figured that one out. So I'm going to show you guys the nice, beautiful leaves. Gives you something beautiful to look at while I'm telling you the rest of the news here. What else is going on here? So that's that. I guess that maybe this describes Trump's procrastination. He's waiting to see what the chances are. Obviously, the master plan of America is the strategic defeat of Russia. You know that it is. You know that it is. To me, that's like, oh, well, there's a bear crap in the woods or something like that. But anyway, so, and I was thinking, well, so how are they going to go about doing this? You know, they're talking about, there's like obviously military planners and things like that, and it'd be kind of stupid. Think about how stupid it would be to just send a bunch of troops to Ukraine. You know what would happen. You know what would happen. Everybody knows what would happen. Unless you're really kind of stupid. Russia has already said they're going to be bombed. They're going to be legitimate targets. That's exactly what Vladimir Putin said. They're going to be legitimate targets. You go ahead and do that, they're legitimate targets. That's exactly the words that Vladimir Putin used if they send any NATO troops there, any troops from any NATO nations in there. I don't know if it's even going to be a go if they send any troops from non-NATO nations, such as Japan or South Korea. I don't know if they're going to go for that, to be honest with you, either. So anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about that. I got my little prediction at the end here. Not a prediction, but a theory. So I'll get to that. Yeah, let's see. I already talked a little bit about that. So it says Modi, the leader of India, he now has a hypersonic missile, the Brahmos. I guess that's was it the Brahmos? What is the river in India? And then there's the Moskva, and so it's named after the two rivers, one in India, and because it's a joint project between Russia and India to make this hypersonic missile. So that's another one that has hypersonic missiles, but not the United States, not France, not Germany, not UK, not any of these freedom-loving nations, or whatever they call themselves. Oh man, guess I better get out of here. Somebody probably wants a garage, or I mean a storage room here. Probably somebody has an apartment. These are storage sheds. Let me get away from this mad dog here. Mad dog. Erdogan. Anyway, so Modi is saying a lot of countries want to buy this missile. I hope that's not in the agreement with Russia that they can sell it, because the United States, as you know, you can bet dollars to donuts, the United States wants to buy this missile, and then they want to reverse engineer it, take it apart, and make their own, because they have not been successful. All of the tests have been not coming out the way they really want them to, the hypersonic missiles that are made by the United States. Makes you really wonder. And Donald Trump says, oh, we got the most powerful weapons in the world and all that. I don't know, what does he have? I think he's mostly talking about these nuclear-powered subs. Well, Russia has just as powerful subs as that. You know, I mean, if you have 2 nuclear bombs on there, I mean, geez, who cares? I don't know how many. I think the United States has a lot of nukes. I have not the faintest idea. But anyway, Russia has some very, some probably just as capable. I think there's some people say they're even more capable, the Russian military submarines, Navy submarines. So, but if the U.S. has them, then Israel will get them too. And that means Iran, is going to have a competition. But right now, as it seems to be coming about, and it seems to be true, that on this, what was it, a 10-day war, 12-day war, that Iran really did some heavy damage to Israel. And Israel is now, a lot of people are talking about a possible hostilities between Iran and the United States and Israel, of course. And of course, Israel, they found out that they don't have anything. They don't have anything on Iran. Iran can kick their butt and kick it big time. So it has to be the United States involved in that, just so that you know. If there's going to be any kind of hostilities, the United States is going to be involved in it. So it's not going to be Israel against Iran. You can scoff and laugh at that. That's not going to happen. It's going to be the United States involved in any case. So let's see. Isn't it strange? There's a strange thing that the biggest oil refinery in Hungary caught on fire soon after they started. Just last night. Talk after about this peace summit, and it's really strange, isn't it? Also, that just some weeks ago, all these things started catching on fire in Slovakia as well. Just so happens to be those people are for peace with Russia. Isn't that weird that it doesn't happen in Germany or something? Well, anyway, some big major fire in the biggest plant there. Sabotage, in other words. Okay, there's a fun fact. 90%, this is just a throw in here, this is intermission. 90% of the Chinese own their own home. 90% of the Chinese. I'm wondering if that is people that are married, living on their own, like families and things like that, family homes. And in the United States, it's only 65%. 65% of families, like a couple or a couple with a child or children. And in Germany, it's down now to 47%. Incredible. Wow. A lot of other things I can remember, in the old days when Americans used to be traveling all over. There were the ugly American, as you know, the American in Paris, American in this and that. A lot of Americans traveling around. Sure, they still do it a lot, and then in the 90s and things like that, it was the Germans. The Germans were all over the place. Germans were traveling. They were the most traveled people in the world. I remember seeing that statistics, by the way. And guess who is now? It's the Chinese, isn't it? Isn't that incredible? The Chinese are some of the most traveled people in the world now. So there's Chinese all over. That kind of tells you, doesn't it, something like, I wonder who the richest countries are in the world now. I wonder who is the fastest countries in decline at this moment. You think it could be Germany? Anyhow. So, Ted Cruz. I was talking about Ted Cruz a little bit earlier. Oh man, I'm over an hour already. I got to hurry up on this. Ted Cruz came out to school all of us, to give us all of his wisdom, the great wisdom of the great, intelligent Ted Cruz. He said, and I never thought of this. This is brilliant. Those who hate Israel hate America. Wow. You know, I never thought of it that way. That makes sense, doesn't it? Doesn't that make sense? Those that hate Israel hate America. Because Israel is the 51st, no, it's not the 50, but isn't the 51st? No, there's no 51st state. But anyhow, somehow it makes sense. And then he also said, those who hate Jews hate Christians. You know, because the Jews, they hate Jesus. They killed Jesus, but and the Christians they hate. No, they don't hate Jesus. The Christians they're founded on Jesus. The name Christian comes from, and those people killed that person. So if you don't like the ones that killed Jesus, then you don't like yourself. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't that? I tell you what, I never thought about that. That's self-hate. Incredible. There's somebody watching me here. I got a spectator. I'll show it to you. Show you the spectator. Hope he doesn't run, or she. A gray kitty. So, anyway, Ted Cruz. It's kind of like, what is it? If you hate gays, you hate women. That's kind of the same sort of a thing right there. And I don't hate gays. I'm just saying that this is just, that's just wisdom. That's just wisdom. I mean, that sounds like Ted Cruz. I mean, he probably said something. He might even said that himself. Yeah, so, I don't know. Boy, he's got to write a book, and I got to get that book. I mean, I want to get a lot smarter, and I guess I got to listen to Ted Cruz, because that guy really knows his stuff, doesn't he? So, he was talking something about the big Satan and the little Satan. Well, I guess if you're living over there and your country gets bombed all the time, constantly bombed, and you give a whole bunch of, your country gives a bunch of bombs to somebody who also drops bombs on you, I guess you start to call somebody, that these ones with the big one, the guy with all the bombs, it must be called the big bad guy, and the ones that they give the bombs to that does some of their own bombing themselves, that's the little bad guy. So whether you call them big Satan or little Satan, I guess that's just a different term, isn't it? So, anyway, and death to America, death to Israel. I don't know. It makes you wonder how pissed off these people are. And I guess I don't even understand what that means, because I don't think that those people they don't mean it. Maybe they mean the regimes, the government, death to the government. You know, I don't know. I don't speak that language. So what are they saying actually? What are those words? It's probably something lost in translation anyway. Just like wipe Israel off the map, which the words that were never said. Nobody ever said, "Oh, we want to wipe Israel off the map." You know, I guess if you properly translate that from Farsi into English, it said, "The Zionist regime in the Middle East will fade from the pages of time." And of course, the Israelis turned that, said, "We're going to wipe the Israelis off the face of the earth," or something. I don't know what the heck they said, but they just screwed it all around and put it in their own words and translated it. A very liberal translation, I guess you can say. That's pretty liberal there, in Israel. Okay. Somebody was saying that Ted Cruz must be a preacher now. I don't know. He bastardized the scriptures big time. I'll tell you what, if you're a Christian, you've got to really hate this guy. It's obvious he's trying to indoctrinate Christians, He's coming up with his fake Christians. It's like it says, but those who bless Israel will be blessed. And apparently that's not said anywhere in the Bible. Nowhere, absolutely nowhere. So, anyhow. But anyway. You'd have to think, I was saying that if Jesus were around today, he would look at Ted Cruz and say that this guy's a lying Ted. No, Donald Trump called him lying Ted before. Anyway, this lying snake oil salesman, he's seeking to create more hatred in the world than there already is. That's just how Ted Cruz is all about it. Is that what a Christian would do? I don't know. So is Ted Cruz a Christian? By trying to get everybody to hate each other and to kill each other? Is that what Christians do? I don't know. And not that I know of. I wonder what Candace Owens, she seems to be finding her way very much into Christianity these days. And I don't even call it Christianity, I call it humanity. So, but anyway, I'd really love to find out more about Jesus if I knew that it was true, because I don't think Jesus would go along with any of this kind of crap that this guy comes up with. Ben Shapiro, he sent a plant. Talk about Candace Owens here. He sent a plant to secretly record Candace Owens and catch her on a bad moment. She said it was an intern, and she said she doesn't blame the intern. She's just, this woman is just taking directions from Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro. She didn't say Ben Shapiro at the beginning. She said whatever his organization is. I can't even remember. But anyway, it was a plant. Her name was Ariana. And it's because somebody spilled all the beans here to Candace. And it's to do, she said, don't send somebody else to do your dirty work. Just have the debate. Just come and have a debate with me, she said to Ben Shapiro. Just come and have a debate and stop doing this. You know, but I'll tell you what, like I've said before, the one person I would not debate is Candace Owens. And it looks like Ben Shapiro, he's not that stupid, you know. He might be very corrupt and he might be a big con artist and all that, but he's not stupid. He knows that if he probably goes into a debate against Candace Owens, he's going to lose, because he's a friggin' con artist. And Candace Owens probably knows that very well, and Candace Owens is going to call him out on some of his cons and his lies and exaggerations. You know, the guy's, when you catch some of this stuff, you say, that's not exactly true. He fudges a little bit here, he fudges a little bit there, and he turns it all into the big picture and makes a big lie out of it. I don't know. Ben Shapiro, and he was trying to take over the legacy of Charlie Kirk. Oh, everybody come and listen to me now. Basically, that's what he said. What a freak. I don't know. And what else? Let's talk a little bit more about Candace Owens. Jimmy Dore, he put out news that there's that judge who he's trying to put out a gag order, also aimed at Candace Owens to shut her up about, you know, the stuff about what's going on with this Tyler Robinson and the Charlie Kirk deal. And I guess Candace Owens has been uncovering even more stuff lately. Even more stuff. So I got to probably, when she comes up with another one of these, I'm going to be watching maybe some of her. I hope she does a summary, a big summary. Maybe like, heck, if it's even 2 hours, I'll sit there and watch it, because she's coming up with some amazing stuff. And about the Kirk assassination. I think what Jimmy Dore is saying, that Candace Owens is alleging that most everybody, Trump's people and everything, and Turning Point USA, everybody is involved in what they are doing to, or what happened to Charlie Kirk. I mean, they're involved in the cover-up, is what I should say. Wow. So now I was going to get to this theory that I have. Even if Trump does go to Budapest, and you know how Trump has been doing this stuff. He's negotiating with Iran while he bombs Iran. And a lot of these countries and people are getting really pissed off that Donald Trump he's pulling this stuff. He's like your friend to your face while he bombs you behind your back. He's been doing a lot of, it's not just Iran, it was somebody else that was saying this stuff too. I don't even want to think about it, you know, because I gotta get this video finished. So what I am predicting, you know, there was some general, I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more about this, what's going on with between why Trump is calling off this Budapest thing, or at least delaying it. Oh gosh, that dog again. Why he put on the big delay about this this Budapest summit, and I think, you know, anyway, let me get back into that, you know, and it's because of what was put out by this Defense Secretary of Great Britain, and he wants to hear what they have, and they're going to come up with some sort of a military plan of getting troops into either Ukraine. Helping Ukraine. It's not even about helping Ukraine. It's about defeating Russia. So how are they going to defeat Russia? So that's what it's all about. And of course, Ukraine is obviously really big into that. Zelensky doesn't care so much about his own country or his own people as he does about, you know, the Banderite, you know, mindset of getting the Russians. I feel weird about saying that because it sounds so completely ridiculous. What kind of a goal is that in your life? Is to bring Russia to its knees. I mean, anyway, get the resources, or I don't know. And Zelensky. Zelensky's just a paid goon. Zelensky is a nobody. He's just a super fabulously rich. He's probably, but he's been doing really good. He's not stupid. He's not stupid. He's got himself to be probably the wealthiest leader on the planet. You know, I would definitely put Zelensky now definitely over $10 billion. He's got $10 billion at least, if not even a lot more than that. Some people said he had 10 billion a long time ago, over a year ago. But anyway, let me keep going. So even if they put something out about, you know, the United States, I think it was the USAR, you know, my old boss, but not in person, but in that I used to work in USAR. I used to work for the commander of USAR, and the commander of USAR, I guess now, or at least the recent one, he was putting out on how they can take over Kaliningrad very easily, you know, and what it was, I don't remember. I didn't pay much attention. It's none of my deal anyway, because a lot of these things change. And of course, obviously they want to make the Baltic Sea a NATO lake. They want to kick Russia out. They want to take Kaliningrad, and it's supposed to go to Poland. If you guys already know all that stuff, I don't know. So, but that's in the near future. I mean, not in the near future. That's in a more distant future. I'll tell you what they're going to do first. And I highly believe this, because and I'll tell you all the signs. It looks like, and I've told you guys this before, I didn't mention anything about Kaliningrad because this is kind of a weird dream that they have to get Kaliningrad. That's going to be massive fight. That's going to be some nuclear bomb type possibilities if they ever try to do that. So then you just forget Kaliningrad for right now. But what's really very, very probable about what's going to be happening here for this war, and I was even mentioning at that time, I said Armenia and Azerbaijan, there was something going on there. I don't know. That maybe not anymore, because, you know, Trump got the peace deal signed. But I'll tell you where it's going to happen at, and it looks like it's very, very, very probable. It's going to be Transnistria. So I think because Moldova has a claim to that, the Transnistrians do not want to be a part of Moldova. They want to be part of Russia, but it's far away from Russia. Russia has no land bridge to there at all, and Trump is probably going to be turning. I mean, at least if they are convincing enough from NATO, a lot of these countries in Europe, Trump is going to be turning down this. Well, he may not turn down this peace process, but he's going to turn down the peace. He might even, you know, I don't know. He's never gotten as far as signing something, but I'll tell you what the whole deal is. You saw what happened in the vote. I'll put this piece together. Trying to piece this together, and you guys, I'll give you the pieces and you guys can put it together yourself. Okay, remember that they cheated on the vote big time in Moldova. Big time. Really, really, really cheated. They even cheated, remember, big time in Romania. And Romania is also part of this equation right now. I don't know if the 81st Airborne is still there. Remember, the United States sent them there. But anyway, that's a big thing as far as NATO and the United States and all that sort of a deal. So, but they cheated on that election, and the guy who won, so they nullified the election, you know, because their man didn't win. So they had to get their man in there. And the same thing happened in Moldova. So they did everything possible, massive amounts of cheating, to make sure that Maya Sandu is the leader of Moldova, because she's pro-NATO. She wants to be into NATO, she wants to be in the EU, all that sort of a deal, just like Zelensky. And so that's another part right there. Transnistria. They have a big old Soviet weapons depot there, and a lot of, well, mostly it's ammunition, but there's weapons there as well. And they want to be part of Russia. And but it's kind of a disputed territory. But it's not disputed necessarily between Russia. In a way, they want to be part of Russia. It's not like Russia is coming up and saying, we want them to be part of our country. It does not work that way. What it is the Moldovan, the people that lead the Moldovans right now, they want that. And remember, they tried to block all the people from Transnistria from voting because they knew they would vote Russian. So they blocked the bridges and did everything, and then I think they did a lot of cheating. Just put it that way. That's how it's done. That's another matter. But The British, catch this, well, you have to realize, as you know, Odessa is not very far at all. That's part of Ukraine. It's a Russian city. The people there are Russian. Over 90% of the people speak Russian. They don't speak Ukrainian. And of course, as you know, Ukraine has outlawed the Russian language. And these people don't want to be, they don't really like Ukraine. They want to be, they like Russia. And it's a Russian city. It was founded by Catherine the Great. And so we're talking about, let's see, Odessa. And the British. The British, as you know, they're heavily involved, like in the bombing of the bridge, of the Kerch Bridge, the Crimean Bridge, as you want to call it that. And their base, you know, they have drones, and there's a lot of drones still being used. There are seaborne drones being used by Ukraine, and they get those from Great Britain. And that is the only port at the moment of Ukraine, the only seaport, or the only seaport, the Black Sea. And it's not that far away at all from Transnistria. And Transnistria is not that far away at all from Moldova. So they're all very close like that. And Romania is in the neighborhood as well. So, and Russia, it's kind of a far cry for Russia. And so what is going to happen, as far as I'm concerned, what I think is going to happen, and Maya Sandow has already said that she wants Transnistria, and she wants to make some sort of an agreement with Romania to get Transnistria. And this was like a year ago. So this is now looking all, I wonder what's going to happen. So there's and I'll tell you what, if Great Britain, if the UK, and if France, if they send their troops into Ukraine as peacekeepers or for any other reason whatsoever, Russia's going to bomb them. But if they send their troops to Moldova and put them on the border, I just send them right into Transnistria. Russia, you think Russia's going to say, we're going to bomb you if you go into Transnistria? That's not our territory. I don't think so. So I'll tell you what they're going to do, they're going to send them into Transnistria. And at least start to look for that. Start to look for that, for these NATO troops to be amassing. Maybe in Romania, they're going to be sending things. If I'll tell you what, if Donald Trump goes for this, they're going to be sending troops, and let's probably say, well, this is how we're going to do it. Let's go into Transnistria. We'll do it from there. Wow. And they're, you know, if Russia does do anything, they will be overjoyed, because then Russia will have that two-front war that the NATO people have wanted, to get Russia into a two-front war. Remember, they were trying for Georgia, and as a matter of fact, they haven't given up on Georgia yet. So they want to be attacking Russia from the south. And remember back in 2008, when Saakashvili was the president of Georgia, George Bush, old gorgeous George Bush, he staged that during the time of the Olympics. He staged that there was an attack on South Ossetia, which are pro-Russian. And most of the people there have Russian passports. Even though it's not part of Russia, it's a disputed territory between the Republic of Georgia and independence, and their own independence, not Russia. So, and this is a very similar thing, what's going on here now with Transnistria. But this time you have far more countries involved. Far more countries involved. And you have Donald Trump there. He's kind of a little bit of a crazy guy. And you got these insane leaders in Europe. So keep your eyes on that right there. Keep your eyes. Watch for these troops to be sent to those areas. And it's like Russia's not a bunch of dummies either. And added to that, just a few days ago, Zelensky, he kicked out the mayor of Odessa. He kicked out the mayor of Odessa, who was actually also not anti-Russian. I don't say pro-Russian, but he was not anti-Russian. So he got rid of him, and Zelensky put Odessa under military leadership. So right now, the military is in charge of Odessa. The military, gee, wait a minute, why the military? Why is it that is kind of strange, isn't it? Well, I mean, I don't know. Put all these points together. You guys can connect some dots, or just throw them all in a pot, you know, and see what's very possible that's going to be happening in the very near future. like I said, I was talking about this months ago, that there's some sort of a very strong possibility that things are going to be happening in the direction from Transnistria, and you just might see it. You just might see it. Too bad I didn't put this together in a lot nicer. Some people could have cut this out. You can send this to some other people. I don't think anybody else has yet started predicting that this is a very possible hotspot. So just keep your eyes open. Anyway, what about Alexander Makuris? I'm going to watch maybe a few of them things in the next couple of days and see if he's spotted this. I don't know, maybe I understand some of these things better than a lot of other people. So I don't know. Somebody must have been seeing this stuff. I can't be the only one, can I? Anyway, that's about all I have for today. It's a very long video. It's almost 1.5 hours, and I hope there's some things that you guys could be enlightened by in watching this video. And I thank everybody for joining me, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.